And now we have a stewardship testimonial by Sachin C.
You make it sound so formal. By Sachin C, as if I've written something so eloquent. And it's hard to share the stage on a day where you're sharing it with Amazing Grace, right? Or the music that Charlie and Barb and Leah and Jacob and Scott had. I feel like I couldn't possibly live up to what the congregation and the church and the service already offer. Andrew asked that I talk, first of all, for a very short period of time, which is good for you, and to focus on this message of change. And so I thought of two examples for me in terms of how I think about change as it relates to Plymouth. The first is I have a passing interest in politics. And what Andrew said earlier about changing the culture is not often what we try to do in the political world. We are often in the moment, whether it's the battle on one side or the other of ending a shutdown on our terms or passing a policy in Madison or in the city council. It's very hard to think long term when we think about social change and we think about political change the way that our culture as a country and our media and our life and our politics are set up. But that work is being done by the people in this congregation in so many different ways, whether it's in the service that we provide to people at the Cathedral Center or at Pathfinders, or it's the work that many of us do in the political sphere, or it's the work that we do in organizations like Micah. The idea isn't just to win the political battle of the day or to serve the needs of the day, but it's to try to change who we are as a people in this community, Milwaukee or Wisconsin or the country or the world over time. And it is hard, as the story told us, the story of the doctors, to see that change, right? To understand the impact that we have. And I couldn't think of a good example that I could tell you in the short time that I've been given. So I thought instead it would make sense to just talk about the change I think that's been manifested in me and in our family in being a part of Plymouth Church. Because I wasn't raised a Christian. I was raised in a household that was secular in practice and Jain by ethnic tradition, and without a church home or a temple home for most of my life. And my parents joined with others in our community to build a temple when I was an adult here in the Milwaukee area, but not one that I ever felt connected to in terms of a community or a family. It was our friends, right? The people that my family hung out with, perhaps, but not even our closest friends. It was a requirement instead of our ethnic tradition that we say these prayers or fulfill these ceremonies on particular days. And when Angie and I started having kids, which apparently we haven't stopped doing, we knew, without even talking about it at any deep length, that we wanted to find that anchor and that home for our spiritual belief and practice. And she was raised Catholic and I was raised Jain, and we had both left that behind. And we looked. We kind of proactively looked, and I've told the story many times of the day that we walked into Three Holy Women Parish, which was just up the street from where we were living on the east side, and we happened to walk in on Celebrate Life Day. And so we heard the refrain from the moment of conception to the last natural breath over and over and over again, and walked out thinking, well, not sure we agree with either end of that. So that wasn't the home for us. And then saw the bouncer ad, as so many people have, that led us into conversation with Marianne and with Andrew, and started coming here, and found quickly that it felt like home, and that a lot of you are like family. So it's become an anchor in our lives. We don't come every week. We try. I try to get on the schedule to play, and then that makes me come. And we try to bring the kids to Sunday school as often as possible if soccer doesn't interfere. But it's something that's important to us. And I was walking in today with Doug and Ann, and we were looking at a house just up the street, two houses from the corner. And we've looked at this house again and again and again. And I know Angie likes the house because it's compact, and so it's not too big. And I like it because it's 2 houses away from this building. So maybe that'll work out. Maybe it won't. But the fact that this church is such an anchor in our lives is so important to us. Whether we're here every week or not, whether you're here every week or not, it has made that change, and it's allowed us to talk about our values, whether those are in politics or in the community or in our family. So we know that this anchor can't survive. It can't survive without our resources. And we also know from the work that the stewards have done, that we will talk about, I think, more in the congregational meeting, that you don't want to hear about how much money it takes over and over and over and over again. You don't want to hear it. So we don't want to say it. The stewards don't, and the church council doesn't. We just want to get past this part of it. We want to celebrate it and own it, that we need the resources for the church to be strong and survive. So how many people listen to WUWM? I'm guessing, I actually thought it'd be less than that. That's a lot of people. Eastside Church, right? And you're familiar, I think, with the idea that they've implemented in recent years of the really short campaign, right? And so we're going to try that. And we think that it will make the positive aspect of stewardship much easier to celebrate without feeling like we're getting done every week with a reminder. And so we are trying really hard, and we need your help to have a one-day campaign this year. And it's next week. It's next week. So you better be ready, right? We've asked many leaders of the church, and I hate the word leaders, many participants in the church, right? Those who serve on boards and committees to step up and make the pledge early. And we know what our goals are in order to meet the budget of the church. And even before we've started, we have participation from 15% of the families that we need to pledge in terms of reaching the numerical goal. And with those 15% of the families, we've achieved 20% of the goal already. And we haven't even started. We haven't even gotten to the one day. Today, we're already 20% of the way there. And the question is, can we get all the way there next week with all of you? And so if you're planning to pledge anyway, please pledge soon. Pledge online this week, or pledge with your card in next week's service. And if you weren't planning to pledge, or you're not sure, please pray on it this week, so you can join us next week in making this a simple and short and beautiful and celebratory moment as we ensure that we have the resources we need for this church to do all the good that it does in our community. Thanks.